Hey there, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. I've basically come to the conclusion that it's no longer safe to have a job. I've long since been a believer that the typical 9-to-5 full-time route is a narrative that's been fed to us as the most stable and secure route. And actually, people are increasingly realizing that that's just not the case. Once I adopted this mental model that actually I'm the CEO of my own career, I realized that I had so much more agency than I previously thought over the fact that I could actually craft my path, and my career was something I could make happen, as opposed to it happening to me. I started doing a bunch of research about all the different ways that you can now approach your career in the 21st century. And what did I find out? Well, they're pretty much all the same thing. You've got the hyper-freelance model, the productized consulting model, you've got the multipreneur, the multi-SKU creator, the business of one, multi-potentialite, squiggly careerists. You name it, someone's come up with a fanciful term for it. But I basically realized that there are 6 key things that all of these different models have in common. And so today, I want to show you how you can take this alternative model to your career. First of all of these models prioritize diversification over specialization. Since we're young and in the education system, we're always taught, you have to choose this degree, you have to choose this subject, you have to choose this career path. But the reality of it is, in an age of work that is fueled by AI, the most important skills will be interdisciplinary. You'll need to be able to think critically, ask great questions, and think across subject silos. This type of career model mirrors that. Instead of placing all of your bets on one fantastic billion-dollar idea, this approach essentially allows you to create a portfolio of small bets where you can hedge your bets, a little bit like an investor might when they're building up a portfolio of assets. As an investor, you're not thinking, okay, all of my returns are going to come from this one investment I made. Instead, you're probably thinking, I think X, Y, and Z has a really good chance of making big returns. Let me invest a little money in them, see how they do, and if they do well, I can double down on them and invest a little more. We should basically be thinking about this type of career model in the same way. Number 2, there's a new definition of security on the block. As I mentioned, in the past, we've been fed this narrative that actually having a 9-to-5 full-time job is the best way to get stable income and feel a sense of security. But as we've seen with the recent swathe of tech layoffs, and actually across a lot of different industries as well, since COVID and beyond, it's clear that actually, as an employee of a company, you are ultimately just another number on the payroll. Now, if you are a business of one, or you are building your own portfolio of small bets, you take back agency and you have full control over the career path that you're building. So we're starting to see this new type of security coming up that actually means that you're in full control and you're not reliant on an employer or a boss or anyone else to actually pay that paycheck for you. The third thing, new skills. Because of all that stuff that I mentioned about specialization being the norm versus diversification nowadays, we were kind of told that, okay, if I wanted to be a lawyer, I would need good writing skills, I'd need to be good at asking questions, I'd need to be a good kind of critical thinker and things like that. But now what we're seeing is, because people are taking this alternative model to their career and really thinking about building their career as if it were a business, we're seeing people need a lot more diverse skills. So it's not enough to just be a great salesperson nowadays. You also need to be able to build a product with no code. You need to understand the basics of generative AI. You need to be able to build relationships with people. You need to manage communications. You need to do this, that, and the other. And actually, there is a particular intersection of those skills that people need to really thrive in this new model that no one out there is really teaching. But I'll come on to that later. The next one is about funding. So historically, if you wanted to start a business, there were many ways to actually get a loan or get some initial funding to help you kind of get set up and run. One of the most common and sought after ways of funding these types of ventures now is venture capital. But what people are gradually realizing is that venture capital is actually a really risky, high stakes, quite stressful way to go when you're building a business. It also means that you have to give a big chunk of your business away, which often a lot of people don't want to do because you don't retain full ownership of everything that you're creating. So instead, we're seeing this kind of pendulum swing towards what we call bootstrapping, this idea of investing your own money into your business and gradually reinvesting what you make from it to grow the business. Now, there is a certain level of privilege that comes with being able to have the funds to bootstrap your own company. But what is the great thing about having this portfolio of small bets is that one of your product ideas might actually be really quick at generating revenue, and you might be able to use the funds that come from that to actually set up and fund the next project that you want to work on. One of the last things is about the idea of audience versus product first. Typically, when people have started startups or companies, they always think of what's the problem that I want to solve for what type of person, and what's the solution that I'm bringing to them to solve that problem. Nowadays, what we're seeing with the advent of the creator economy is this idea that actually it's so much more powerful to build a community or an audience first, which allows you to gain really deep insights into what are the really big acute pain points that people in my audience are facing. Then I can build specifically for those instead of doing all this guesswork about actually what they're after. The other great thing about this is that when you actually launch your product, you've already got a ready-made audience of customers excited to buy from you. The last thing I want to talk about is the idea of a flywheel. The idea of a flywheel is that every product you build or every project that you work on should make every other bet in your portfolio slightly easier. Now, this is an idea that marketplaces and specific types of companies have become really, really good at doing, but often it only works when you reach a critical mass. What you can do if you're a business of one and you have this portfolio of small bets that you're going after is ensuring that actually there is a great intersection between all the different things that you're working on, so that every time you get a new sale or every time you're looking for that new subscriber, it actually makes it a little bit easier. So there's this kind of virtuous cycle going on that is very difficult to get in a traditional business. Now you understand a little bit more about this alternative approach to intentional career design. Follow and subscribe as I go on the journey of building my career in public. Every week, I'm going to be publishing a video that deep dives into one of the key concepts or skills that you really need to know to thrive on this less trodden path. I'm super excited to see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.